Hey there, today we're going to talk about jazz blues. So, we're going to work in the key of E flat major. So we'll start with the basic blues, which you should know by now. So the 1 chord, the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, 5 chord, and the 1 chord. Now when we start talking about jazz blues, we're going to make a few changes. The first change that we're going to make is we're going to make all of the chords 7th chords. So regularly, like making a 7th chord, you just add the next note in the scale, the 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just add another third, the 7th on top. But here, because we're doing the blues, we almost always make it a dominant 7th by using the flattened 7th, minor 7th. So these chords, let's start by making all of these chords 7th chords. Alright. And now we're going to talk a little bit about how the kind of basic jazz blues works. So the basic jazz blues is essentially this, except the difference is the 5 chord is prolonged and it's approached with a 2 chord. And usually the 2 chord is actually a minor 7th, so it's usually diatonic to the key. You could do like a dominant 7th like all the other chords. It's usually a minor 7th. And then because we've already learnt the jazz turnaround in the turnaround video, you can also put that at the end. So you would have the 1 chord, the 6 chord, and the 6 chord is going to be C7 like that. The 2 chord, you've been practicing it major. You can, more commonly, it's actually a minor 7 chord. So again, you can play the 2 chord like this, like F7, but it's more commonly F minor 7. So that's the basic jazz blues form. And there's all sorts of variations on that, and we're going to talk about a couple of them. The first one being the Stormy Monday changes. This is a really slow blues. And it starts with it has a few different chords. So we have E flat 7, and then we have the 4 chord, we have a quick change. Have this little chromatic inflection, which, okay, it's in E7. All right, so we actually move up a half step and then back down, just like what you kind of saw in the a lot of the time with those kinds of turnarounds, is that you can use this chromatic inflection. And then we go to the 4 chord. And then we go back to the 1 chord. This part is a little different, in which we walk up to the 3 chord and step chromatically down to the 2 chord. And then you can have the same turnaround at the end. So this kind of progression of kind of moving up, E flat, F, G, G flat, F, 1, 2, 3, flat 3, then to 2. So that's one variation of the jazz blues, but you'll notice that the most important thing are these first bars of every system. And those are almost always going to be that. So it's always going to be the 1 chord, it's always going to be the 4 chord, and it's always going to be the 2 chord. In the basic one, the same thing. So no matter how different they become, it's always going to be like that. Here's another kind of variant on the jazz blues where you can kind of start just regular. So why don't we just start? We can do a quick change. And let's do the 4 chord. And then approaching the 2 chord, let's go down to the 6 chord. So chromatically, all 7th chords, and then to the 2 chord. And then here, you can also just go to the regular cadence, or you can do you can substitute the 3 chord, then the 6 chord, the 2 chord, and the 5 chord. This kind of prolongs the resolution back to the 1 chord. So instead of going right away to E flat, you can prolong going to E flat until you turn around to the top of the form again. So this is also, you can also kind of consider this a jazz turnaround. There's another, just where the 3 chord is a substitute for the 1 chord. And the last, I mean, you can get really crazy with the variations. I'll just show you one more just to kind of give you some idea on how crazy the variations can get. So you can start. This is like a very jazzy variation where we take a big cyclic approach to the 4 chords. So we start with the 1 chord for a bar, and then right away we go to the 7, the 3, the 6, the 2, 5, 1, and then 4. But the difference, these, I know this is like the 3 chord, but these are more so like right away, right at this part. This is kind of thought of as inside the key of A flat. So it's almost as if like we jump right away to thinking about the key of A flat and going from this sharp 4 to the 7, 3, 6, 2, 5. So this kind of 3, 6, 2, 5 leads to A flat. Just like this 3, 6, 2, 5 over here led back to E flat 7. A little bit confusing, but that's the whole idea of this. So this cycle of fourths, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, cycling back down to A flat 7. And then you can do what we call a backdoor progression, which is a 2, 5, 2, 5, 1 that actually resolves up a step, if that kind of makes sense. And then yeah, here you can do all sorts of different progressions. Here probably I think in the blues for Alice they have something like flat 7, and then I think they have this thing. Yeah, that's what they've got. And then here, just for fun, we can do a very cool kind of tritone sub. So you can do all sorts of crazy chords like that. But anyway, so this one here, they have this kind of false 2-5-1, you can call it, where they play the 2 chord but up a half step. So most people would call this F sharp minor 7 and B7. And then yeah, the 2 chord, the 5 chord. Here I think the song goes just a regular 3, 6, 2, 5, but you can make it very cool by doing 1, and then you can do a tritone sub for the 6. So instead of the 6 chord, you do a substitute, a tritone away, and then again instead of the 2 chord, you do a substitute, a tritone away, and again instead of the 5 chord, you do a substitute. It's a tritone away. You could make this dominant too, but I think it sounds nice to be major. It sounds a little bit more outside. And yeah, writing these, probably I would write it as B still, just because F flat is just something you don't see enough to justify using. So yeah, kind of crazy variation, a lot of chords, a lot of information. But if you're really into this jazz stuff, it's worth practicing. So let's check out some of these jazz blueses. Let's start with Stormy Monday. The left hand, I'm just going to be playing quarter notes with the shell voicings for the A flat 7, and also the B flat, maybe even the C7. If you can't reach, just play the bass note up 1 octave. It's not going to sound as good, but it's going to work at least for now. And we're going to be using mostly the major blues scale, the minor blues scale, and a couple riffs that we've learned from before, a couple ideas, tremolo, all the stuff we've learned before. So minor blues. Walking up. But yeah, sounds pretty cool. You can get a lot of interesting ideas and different sounds, and it's a nice thing to add to your toolkit. Let's also check out Blues for Alice. So we're going to be doing the same thing in our left hand. We're not even going to be playing quarter notes, we're just going to be playing the chords as they come, because we're going to be playing pretty quickly. And in our right hand, we're going to play just chord tones. So for the E flat, we're only allowed to play E flat, G, B flat, or D flat. All right, for this next D half diminished. Okay, so let's try to go through that and see what that might end up sounding like. Something like that would be one course through the jazz blues. So pretty intense, very different from the kind of slow country blues stuff that we were doing. Very different approach, but still in the realm of blues music. So have some fun practicing all that stuff and knock yourself out. Have fun with it.